the first thing I yelled, anyone check to see if there is any other bombings? Where is a terrorist? I was looking for the terrorist, the first thing, and I didn't see any terrorists. I said, what's going on? Where's the terrorist? Because we're so used to seeing terrorists. I'm used to seeing the head of the terrorist somewhere just laying here, like nothing. And
my name is Kelly James Clark, and I'm a professor of philosophy at Calvin College in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
That blew himself up, but it was a bomb that was left right next to the bus.
I wrote as an academic about 10 articles on religious liberty and tolerance. And most of the articles were published in academic journals that were probably read by about 2 or 3 people. One of them was probably my mother.
A suitcase or a backpack?
I don't know, because it just blew up. It was a Charlie. I don't know. I didn't even. The first thing I said is where's the terrorist? Because I was afraid that maybe he still has explosives on him that didn't blow up.
I wrote a book on against Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, and other new atheists. And one of their criticisms, and it's not one that I respond to in the book, but one of their criticisms is that religious beliefs especially tempt people to be intolerant and bigots and even vicious. That religious beliefs especially tempt people to kill other people.
Contained in the bomb.
And overall, they think religious is a net force for evil in the world.
It's like blasphemy.
And
from the bus.
Religious belief has created a lot of evil in the world. Of course, it's also created a lot of good. It's created alms barns where people were required to contribute 1/7 of their crops, and it went in to feed the poor, or alms houses where widows and orphans could go and live. Hospitals, universities, were, in the West at least, were started primarily initially as training grounds for clergy. Religious people give more money to the poor. Religious people give more time to helping the poor. And so I took their claim that religion is the net force for evil in the world, I took it as a challenge and said, we religious believers, and by that I think the ones that are mostly at fault in this day and age are Christians, Muslims, and Jews. So we, Christian, Muslims, and Jews, we share a common background. We're all children of Abraham. We need to find within our tradition, some of it shared, some of it not, we need to find within our tradition the resources that motivate liberty and tolerance, that motivate compassion and mercy, and not bigotry and violence. My goal is not to persuade Muslim Christians and Jews that we all worship the same God. My goal is for each of us to draw upon our own traditions, our own faith traditions, and to say, even though we really radically disagree with one another, it's still our obligation to respect one another, and it's still our obligation to be compassionate to one another. And I think there are resources in each of these faith traditions for compassion and mercy, and not for hatred and violence. Most books in the West, most books on religious liberty and tolerance, assume Western, liberal, secular reason as the basis of an argument for tolerance. But most people who are tempted to religious intolerance of the sort that I'm interested in, most of them aren't persuaded by Western, liberal, secular reason. They're suspicious of it. And what's authoritative for them is their holy scripture and their tradition. So I thought we need a book that appeals to those holy texts and appeals to those traditions, that also is one that can defend religious liberty and tolerance. If you want to write a book to Western liberals, then appeal to Western secular reason. But if you want to appeal to people of the book, then you have to appeal to their book. You have to use their book as some sort of authoritative source. And then see if within their book and their tradition there's adequate support for religious liberty and tolerance. I'm not trying to diminish Muslim, Christian, or Jewish beliefs or believers, but in their beliefs, within their beliefs, contains theological commitments to doctrines that demand respect for other persons, that demand humility, that demand hospitality, and all of these things that demand caring for the stranger. And the stranger it doesn't have to be someone that doesn't live in your city. The stranger can be a person whose beliefs are different from yours. So all of those are commanded, and they're commanded by their God. And so faith in their God is one that should lead them to be tolerant of people that don't hold their own beliefs and don't maintain their practices. Conflict over beliefs is unavoidable. Christians and Muslims are going to think each other is wrong. Simple as that. But you can think someone is wrong and not think they're subhuman, or not think that they're worthy of being killed. In Israel, we find all the ingredients, both for religious conflict and both for religious liberty and tolerance. We find a great deal of dispute over the land. And apart from their religious beliefs, it's hard to say who has the right to that land. And so it's a place of great conflict. And yet, you can go there and find Muslims, Christians, and Jews who are deeply committed to peace and justice. And it's a story that hasn't been told. The story that gets told is of Arab oppression of Jews, or Arabs wanting to wipe Jews off the land, or the story that gets told is Israel denying Palestine, Arab Palestine, its right to be an independent state. There's stories that get told, and they're all bad. And they're the stories that Dawkins, Dennett, and Hitchens draw upon. And I think there's another story that needs to be told, the story of faith-motivated compassion and liberty and tolerance. It's not my intention to offer any political solution to the issues involving Israel and Palestine. It's my intention for Muslims, Christians, and Jews to come together in respect, in sympathetic disagreement, in compassion, and to hear each other's stories. And so I'm trying to get real Muslims, Christians, and Jews to rescue their faith from politics and violence and hatred, and then to work together for peace.